All right, Title 49, Chapter 3, November 1st, 2017. It's Federal Motor Carrier Administration, Safety Administration. Part 395. Subpart B, electronic logging devices. 395.20, electronic logging device applicability. Scope of the scope part of the flag with the electronic logging device used to record with the driver service in 395.8a. Applicability electronic device used after December 18, 2017 must meet with the requirements of this part. Motor carrier general responsibility in general of the register for the electronic logging device required with the motor with the care of the required with the use of the electronic logging device must only at the electronic logging device that is listed in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration register for the electronic logging device listed for the accessory through the agency website. The user's right management. This paragraph apply with the motor carrier who drive the electronic logging device. Who the motor carrier support personnel have been authorized by motor carrier to access the electronic logging device records, make the suggested authorized edits. A motor carrier must manage electronic logging devices accounts, including the creating, deactivating, updating accounts, ensuring the property of the authenticated individual's electronic logging device account with the appropriate right with the assign a unique electronic logging device username each for the user account with the required identification data. 3. Ensure the driver license used for the creation of electronic logging device driver that is invalid will correspond with the driver that used the electronic logging device account. With ensure the information entered for the created new account with the accurate driver identification data with the electronic logging device user account signed by the motor carrier, the driver that require the following data elements: driver, the first and last name, and the reflect with the driver's license, unique electronic logging device username, select with the motor carrier, the driver valid, and the driver license number, the state and the jurisdiction of the issue with the driver's license. The driver's license number with the social security number must not be used as part of the username and the account created with the electronic logging device. Motor carrier support personnel with identification of the electronic logging device used with the account with the sign with the motor carrier with the support with the personal required with the following data elements: the individual first and last name, and the reflect with the government issue with identification, a unique electronic logging device username by the motor carrier. Proper logging required with the motor carrier must require with the driver the support personal log in the electronic logging device system used with the proper identification. Calibration motor carrier must ensure the electronic logging device is calibrated and maintained with the corner for the provided specification. G. Portable electronic logging device. If the driver uses the portable electronic logging device, motor carrier shall ensure that the electronic logging device is mounted with a fixed position during the operation of the commercial motor vehicle that is invisible with the driver is seated with the normal driving position. In the vehicle motor information, the motor carrier must ensure that the driver that possesses onboard commercial motor vehicle electronic devices information packet containing the following information items: the user manual with the driver to describe how to use the operate the electronic logging device instrument, sheet with the driver that's describing the data transfer mechanism, support an electronic device, step-by-step instruction for the driver that produces the transfer of the driver's hours and for the record to authority, safety official, an instruction sheet with the driver that describing electronic logging device, manufacturing, reporting, performance of the record, keep the perceived during electronic logging device, malfunction, supply, blank driver, the record with the duty staff, the graphic grave, sufficient record, the driver's staffs, other related information, minimum 8 days. Record backup and security. A motor carrier must retain the 6-month backup copy of the electronic logging device records on the device separated from that of which the original data is stored. Alright, a motor carrier must retain the driver's electronic logging device record so as to protect the driver's privacy with a manner with a consistent sound business practices. Record reproduction, the request authorization, safety official of the motor carrier that must produce the electronic logging device record with the electronic format, either the time of the request if the motor carrier has multiple offices or terminals where the time is permitted is statute 390.29 of the subchapter. 395.24, driver the responsibility in general. In general, the driver must provide the information of the electronic logging device required by the prompter by the electronic logging device required by the motor carrier. The driver duty staff of the driver must input the driver duty staff of the driver selecting among the following categories available with the electronic duty device. Logging device. Off duty or off or 1, sleeper berth or SB or 2, even sleeper berth is used, and driving D or 3, on duty driving on or 4, miscellaneous data. The driver must manually input the following information, electronic device, logging device. Notions where Apple driver location description prompted by the electronic logging device output with the file comment with the directive of the authorized safety officer. And driver must manually input the verify the following information, electronic logging device, commercial motor vehicle, the power with the unit number, trailing numbers, if applicable, the shipping docket number, if applicable, the driver use the electronic device on record that the authorized safety official of the driver must produce the transfer from any electronic logging device drivers and hours for the record in accordance with the instruction she provided the motor carrier. 395.26 electronic logging device data is automatically recorded. In general, electronic logging device provides the following functions: automatically records data elements listed in the section according to the requirement of the containment of Appendix A of this part of B of this part. Data automatically recorded with the electronic logging device automatically records the following data elements: date, time, commercial motor vehicle, geographic location, hours, engine hours, vehicle miles, driver's authenticated user identification, and data of the vehicle identification number, the motor carrier identification number, change of duty staff of the driver to indicate the change of the duty staff under the statute 395.24b. The electronic logging device records data elements of paragraph B1 through A of this section. Intermediate recording: when the commercial motor vehicle is in motion, but there has not been a duty staff at the change of any other immediate recording. In the previous one, with the electronic logging device automatically records the intermediate record and includes the data element of the paragraph B1 through A of the section. Intermediate recording created during the period of the driver to indicate the authorized personal use of the commercial motor vehicle. The data elements paragraph B4 and 4 and 5 of the section. Engine hours, vehicle with the miles of the left link of the paragraph. B3 of the section location will be recorded in single decimal point with a resolution and with approximately 10-mile radius. Change the special driver in the category of the driver indicate with the change of the status 395.28A2 with electronic logging device record with the data elements of the paragraph B1 through A of this section. Certification driver daily with the record with the electronic logging device is provided with the function record with the driver's certification of the driver, the record with the every 24 hours with the period with the driver certified with the person. The receivers with the driver the record with the given in 24-hour period with the 395.30B2. Electronic logging device record with the data and the time of the driver the identification data element with the paragraph B1, 2, and 6. Log in and log out when the authorized use of the log in and log out electronic logging device record with the data elements in paragraph B1 and 2 and the B4 through 8 with the engine powered up and shut down with the commercial motor vehicle engine powered up and down. Electronic logging device record with the data elements in paragraph B1 through 8 of the section. Authorized personal use if the record is created during the period of the driver and indicated authorized by the personal use of the commercial motor vehicle. The data element with paragraph B3 of the section logged in with a single decimal point resolution approximately within 10-mile radius. Malfunction data diagnostic with the electronic logging device detects clears a malfunction data diagnostic electronic logging device. Record the data elements of paragraph B1 and 2 and B and 4 and 3 and 8 of the section. Alright, 395.28 special driving categories, other driving status, special driving categories, motor carrier operation, motor carrier figure, electronic logging device, authorized driver to indicate the driver operating commercial motor vehicle used under any of the following special driving categories, authorized personal use, yard moves, driver responsible to drive the operating commercial motor vehicle under one of the authorized list in paragraph A1 of the section, must select the electronic logging device applicable to special driving categories before starting the test, deselect the indicating status, and when prompted, electronic logging device and note with the driver's electronic logging device record describing the driver's activity. The driver is exempt from the electronic logging device. Use the motor carrier may configure electronic logging device designated the driver except from the electronic logging device. Alright, C. Other driving status. The driver operating commercial motor vehicle under the exemption of 393F and subchapter 395.1 who is not covered in paragraph A and B, but the section must note that the driver of the electronic logging device recorded to explain the applicable exemption. 395.30 electronic logging device record submission edits and notions data retention accurate record keeping the driver of the motor carrier with the must ensure the driver's electronic logging device records are accurate. Review the record of the certification by the driver. Driver must review and the driver of the electronic logging device record with the edit with the correct with the inadequate with the enter of the missing information. Certify the accuracy of the information using the certification function. Electronic logging device. The driver must certify the driver of the records affirmatively with selecting the agreed immediately following the statement of the reads. I hereby certify that the May data entries of the my record data status for 24-hour period are true and correct, but the driver must certify the record immediately after the final required entry has been made correct within the 24-hour period. The driver must submit that the driver's certified electronic logging device record of the motor carrier in accordance with 395AA. 2. In any of the edits necessary after the driver submit for the record with the motor carrier, the driver must recertify the record of the edits that are made. Edits and entries in the notion the subject of the edit low limitation electronic logging device. The driver may edit with the missing the information note with the electronic logging device recorded events. When edits and addition to the notions are necessary, the driver must use the electronic logging device and respond to electronic logging device prompts. Or the driver support with the personal most and note any change in additional to the record. In this case, the team of the driver, the mistake with the resulting in the wrong driver that have been assigned with the time and hours electronic device. If the time of the driver, they both indicated each of the other records for the period of the co-driver, the driving time may be edited with the reassignment between the time team driver, the following procedure supported by the electronic logging device. All right, motor carrier proposed edits on the review of the driver submitted the record of the motor carrier may request the edit of the driver the record of the duty staff and ensure the accuracy. The driver must confirm or reject proposed change and they implement the appropriate edits of the driver record of the duty staff of the recertified resubmit the record in order of the motor carrier with the purpose proposed change for the taken effect with the motor carrier may not request the edit for the driver the electronic record before the record has been submitted with the driver edits requested by any system any of the person other than the driver that must recover the driver's electronic confirmation of the rejection. Coercion prohibited. Motor carrier may not coerce the driver to make with the false certification of driver data's entry of the record of the duty status. All right, motor carrier data retention record. The motor carrier must not alter the erase of the mirror may require alteration. Ensure the original information collected concerning the driver, the hours of service, the source of the data streams used to provide information contained in any of the electronic logging devices use the original information of the HOS source data. Alright, 395.32, non-authenticated driving logs. Tracking a non-authenticated operation. Electronic logging device must assure the non-authenticated operation commercial motor vehicle is a single account labeled unidentified driver. As soon as the vehicle is in motion, its known driver has logged in the electronic logging device. A driver that logs into an electronic logging device must review unassigned driving time when the prompted electronic logging device must assume any of the records that belong with the driver under the driver's account, indicate the records are not attributable to the driver, the motor carrier may ensure the record of the unidentified driver then reviewed and must know the record explain when the time is unassigned, assign the record to the appropriate driver the correct reflective of the driver's hours of service. A motor carrier must retain the unidentified driving record for each electronic logging device minimum 6 months over the day of the receipt. During the safety inspection or audit investigation, authorized safety official of the motor carrier must make available unidentified driving record with the electronic logging device corresponding with the time period electronic logging device required. Alright, 395.34, electronic logging device malfunction data diagnostic events record. Keep the electronic logging device malfunctions. Indicate the electronic logging device malfunction. Driver must do the following: notify the malfunction electronic logging device. Provide the written notice of the malfunction in the motor carrier within 24 hours. Reconstruct the record of the duty of the staff the current 24-hour period. For the previous 7 consecutive days, record the record of the duty staff of the graph grid paper log with comply with the statute 395.8 unless the driver already possesses the records or the records retrievable from the electronic logging device. Continue manually prepare record duty status in accordance with the 395.8 until the electronic logging device is served brought back into compliance with the subpart. Inspect during malfunction when the driver inspected the hours of the service compliance with during the electronic logging device malfunction. The driver must provide the authorized safety official for the driver the record of the duty status manually kept as specified in paragraphs 8, 2, and 3 of the section. Driver requirement during electronic logging device data diagnostics data events the electronic logging device indicate that there is data inconsistent with generate the data diagnostic event. Driver must file with the motor carrier the electronic logging device provider's recommendation resolve the data inconsistencies. Motor carrier requirements of the repair, replacement, and service. If the motor carrier receive the discover the information concerning the malfunction electronic logging device, motor carrier must take action to correct malfunction electronic logging device within 8 days of the discovery of the condition of the driver's notification of the motor carrier. Whatever occurs first, the motor carrier is seeking to extend the period of time permitted to prepare replacement service and one or more with the electronic logging device shall notify the first Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Division Administrator for state or motor carrier's principal place of business within the 5 business days after the notification. But motor carrier under paragraph A1 of the section each request the extension of the section be assigned by the motor carrier and must contain the name and address, telephone number of the motor carrier representative who filed the request, the make, model, serial number of the electronic logging device, the date and location of the electronic logging device malfunction as reported with the driver of the carrier. 4. The concise statement that describes the actions motor carrier that make of the good faith of the effort for the repair and replace of the service of electronic logging device unit, including the carrier's need the addition time of beyond the 8 months provided by the section. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration determines motor carrier continuing to make the good effort to ensure the repair replacement service that address the malfunction electronic logging device. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration may allow the additional period. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration provides written notice for the motor carrier to determine the information. The determination may include any condition Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration considering the necessary to ensure that hours of service compliance termination shall constitute the final agency action. Alright, your motor carrier providing requesting the extension of the meet with the requirements of paragraph D2 of the section of the deemed and complying with 395.8A1 and A2 of the Federal Motor Carrier Administration makes the extension determination under the section provide the motor carrier with the driver continuing to comply with the other requirements of this section. Or 39536, the driver acts for the record. The record electronic device drivers must be able to act for the electronic logging device record for the motor carrier must not introduce the process of the word require the driver to go through the motor carrier to obtain the copy of the driver's own electronic logging device records. If such records exist on and are automatically retrievable through the electronic logging device operated by the driver. Records in motor carrier's possession on record and request the motor carriers must provide a driver with the access to the copy of the driver's electronic logging device records available to them. Paragraph 8 of this section during the period of the motor carrier is required to retain the records of 395.8K. Alright, and then there's incorporating by reference. Incorporating by reference, certain of the material incorporated by reference part 395 approved of the Director of Office of the Federal Register of Title 552A and Title 1 CFR Part of 51. And fourth, the addition. Enforce any addition or other specified by the section of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration must publish notification of the Federal Register. Material must be available to the public. All approved material available to selection Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Analysis Research Technology 800-832-5660 available to source listed below or available to inspection National Archive records for information available to material. And then it goes, these are the records. And these are all the books. I'm not going to read them. It's very, but be noted that these are the reference books, the records, which are 395.38 section inspection incorporation by reference.